Hey, everybody, welcome to Make Others Successful, a podcast where we share insights, stories, and strategies to help you build a better workplace. If we haven't had a chance to meet yet, my name is Mitch, and I am joined here with Mike to my right and Matt on the other table over there. Hopefully, familiar faces. New podcast episode today, and I do want to say it is printed on cardstock, so it is very important. It is what percent thicker is cardstock than normal paper?
Depends on the card stock, but this is probably double.
Double. So twice as important as our previous podcast. So you need to listen to the whole thing. We are talking about, believe it or not, Copilot and Cowork in Microsoft and what is changing in this world because there's been a couple little releases, things coming out of Frontier and seeing some changes to pricing models, and it kind of causes us to think differently about, what do we evangelize and what do we say this is worth your money versus this is not worth your money. And given this is all new, it's a little bit unformed. This is our forum for having some of that conversation, and I'm excited to talk about it today. So. Who wants to give, Matt, do you want to give like the overview of what happened recently that has changed?
The big thing is that Cowork, so Microsoft Copilot Cowork, went GA. And as part of that GA, they dropped the pricing model.
Dropped? You mean introduced a pricing model?
So
Sure.
not drop the price.
Yes, I meant like mic drop.
Okay, so for like something we should probably say first, what is Cowork?
I'll do Cowork. So Cowork, if you are familiar with Claude at all, Claude has the concept of cowork. And so that might ring a bell. If you are not familiar, the concept is that typically in AI world, you're chatting with an AI model, a large language model, and it's giving you responses back. And maybe it'll do something for you if you tell it to do something. But oftentimes, something that needs to happen involves lots of round trips or multiple like spider webs of information that needs to get grabbed and then brought all back together and then acted on and then carried out and then reported on. Like there's a life cycle to a lot of the things that have to happen when you say something like, can you schedule time with me and Matt next Friday? And so Cowork is the sort of thing that you can ask to do that for you and act on your behalf. So it will go, look at my calendar, look at Matt's calendar, look at maybe our previous events together, see if there's a common time that we have this sort of meeting. Look forward, is that same block available? If no, what are other options? If yes, I'm going to send this request if you have it approved. Otherwise, I'm going to return it here in this window and say, hey, I've drafted up this thing. Does this look good to go? Do you want to allow me to do this thing? It can be really powerful and really relieve some of the busy work in someone's day-to-day if they have recurring tasks and they want to offload some of the thinking work or just the busy, maybe menial work that AI can now sort of do for you.
So a simple example, just like I want to restate it really simply, is it used to be you could ask Copilot or an agent of some sort, find a time that works for both of us to have a meeting. Now the pattern shift or the paradigm shift is find a time that we both have available for a meeting and book it.
Yeah, act for me. Yeah, and so the term cowork here is brought over from the Claude world. Copilot Cowork is using the Claude models, generally speaking. I know they announced integrating some other ones over in the near future, but that's the parallel here is they had Claude Cowork, Microsoft got it over in their world. Now there's the Copilot Cowork, which is just that concept within the context of your Microsoft suite and your Microsoft tenant with your Copilot agent.
So do we want to talk a minute about what makes that unique and what makes that different? You talked a little bit at a high level, but It is kind of an interesting model because it functions a lot more like a person instead of it with a goal in mind. It reminds me a lot of what the difference between regular chat and researcher is, right? So researcher has been around for a long time now, and it allows you to create more complicated work product, but it's going to ask you some questions. It's hey, like I need to get all this stuff done so I can create this thing and make this thing happen. Cowork can do multi-step processes. It can not just generate one thing, but generate a whole host of things. In fact, in many cases, the whole I want to schedule a time, that's almost too simplistic for Cowork when you think about what you want to use it for. Where it really is useful is to do large and complex work across a number of data sources, integrating in multi-step processes, right? Like that's fair in what you would say?
It can't. Well, this door has become like thrown open, I think, by Microsoft because of this pricing increase. And so there's like this world of what can it do versus what should you use it for. So yes, I would say the
So
stuff
you
that
think-
I'm describing is fairly simple. It can definitely it can go deeper.
So you think, forget the pricing model, the simple things you still would prefer to use Cowork for over the other tools?
Generally speaking, yes. So I've had enough instances where I can tell Copilot on its own does not have enough context to really answer or do what I'm asking it to do. And I know in my brain, you only grabbed back the last 5 days. I need the last 3 weeks. And it's like, it can't, conceptualize of that, or it can't gather all that context. Yes,
That's interesting,
I
'cause
know Cowork. I can just throw it at it, and it'll do what I tell it to do.
Yeah, we've been using Cowork in Copilot for
A couple months.
a couple months now. I find myself the smaller tasks, it's a little annoying to use Cowork.
Faster to just do it yourself
Faster to just use Copilot to do a good enough job for what I'm doing.
to get an answer or
To get me started,
create
to
some
get
content or
like,
something.
Another thing that is happening with this that has happened before this, but it's related. There is now a bunch of edit functionality within standard Copilot, right? So many times I just can use that. Like it can schedule meetings for me. It doesn't need Cowork to do that. I don't need Cowork to edit an Excel document. I can do that in Copilot. What Mitch is talking about, which is that I have given prompts into Copilot and asked it to do things, find things, whatever, and been frustrated with it, and then take it to Cowork, and it works great.
Knocks it out of the park.
Knocks it out of the park. It's amazing. But when I think about Cowork for even without the licensing thing, which we're going to get into a little bit later, I automatically think I want to try to avoid the smaller things. That's just been my experience. The extra thinking about it differently isn't worth it to me. But
Okay.
that's interesting to hear that you have the other perspective on it.
Yeah, there's a few things we want to get to in this section written here, but I think I want to save those for after. The question is, how are we going to actually use Cowork? How are we going to integrate it into our workflows and things like that? And I think we want some of the pricing and that, like the thought process behind that before we share or think through some of that stuff. So do we want to jump ahead to
Sure.
what changed? So the thing that changed is today you can buy a Microsoft 365 Copilot license for $30 a month per user.
The premium license.
Yeah, it's a moving target. What that gets you is access to Copilot chat, so asking questions about things that are in the context of your Microsoft tenant, as well as lots of different agents and things like that, and also access to Copilot in your tools and able to edit in things like Word, Excel, and PowerPoint and things like that. So that's been the de facto standard for a little bit.
Yeah, for a while.
And so Cowork came maybe a couple months after Claude. Cowork hit the ground running, and it was introduced as a frontier
Preview.
option, preview, right? So frontier is the the part of Microsoft that they release, the release ring, where people are getting early access, quote unquote, to these tools. And it's where they can test things and get feedback on things from a relatively public, or like if you have a subscription, you can get access to those things. When it was in there, you could do whatever you want with Cowork. You could ask it
As
questions.
long as you have a Microsoft 365 license,
Yep.
you could ask it as many questions you want, do whatever you want with it.
Yep. Exactly. So we were interested, is maybe the lightest term, to find out Cowork, when it comes out of Frontier, is going to cost money. It just got released with a pricing model where they say, here's how much each token costs. Here's about how many tokens these sorts of requests will take. Here's about what that means for your team. And it is not included in your Copilot license.
But it does require it.
But it does require it, yes. So it is an add-on, an added cost to Copilot. You can't just get Cowork. And so this was one of the first times where we got introduced to the concept of there is something beyond Copilot that you can pay in addition to. What did that trigger in your guys' brains when that happened?
All of that is happening in the backdrop of everybody's charging more. Everybody's trying to figure out how to turn AI into more money. So there was definitely some thinking about that. But for me, it's kind of it's more of a marketing frustration than an actual frustration with the cost of it, or that it is going to be an additional cost. Microsoft is marketing Copilot as being able to do all these great things, and they add this new thing that definitely is better, but they put up a paywall. And in some ways, like I said, I can understand why they're doing it, but at the same time, the main tool isn't as good as I want it to be. And so then gating a tool that will do something better than the rest of it, the other tools, that isn't a big thing. Like if it was only the large, complex tasks, it's like, okay. But some basic things that I want Copilot to be able to do, like I said, I couldn't get Copilot to do it, but I could get Cowork to do it.
Yeah.
And so I think that's where a lot of my frustration comes from.
I think it's going to be difficult for them to draw the lines around the things that you're talking about, because if they say, well, you got to pay more just so it does a better job, well, what does that really mean, right? People are going to have a very difficult time with that. So I think that's a challenge. Hopefully that will become more clear as time moves on. But the other two things that came to my mind were, well, there it is. Somebody's finally trying to recoup the cost of data centers. And that makes sense because there's been a lot of that spending going on. And then ultimately, I think it's going to make organizations think about their spend on real human resources versus augmenting humans with various levels of AI capability. Now that they actually have to spend money on tokens and all of whatever that ends up being at the end of a year, if I have $100,000 FTE, how much more value can they provide if I spend this much more on the tools that they're going to have access to? And I think that's an interesting question.
I think it also bridges the boundaries between what traditionally agents are, because agents, this is not a new concept. When you think about agents and you think about regular users that don't have the Copilot license using agents, that's all consumption-based. That's based on the credits that you're using. And it's bridging that bound, much like what you're talking about of like, okay, I can build an agent that does something and I'm going to get charged based on consumption. So people are doing this much, or I'm going to use Cowork with someone and they're going to, be supercharged even more than just regular Copilot. And I'm also going to get charged a certain amount, whatever that might be for the things that they're doing. I think it also complicates the story around telling people what to use. I'm very, very interested to see what happens with the default user behavior is to use the most powerful thing all the time. All the time. I don't care if I'm asking it to, what's 1 + 1? Use the most powerful thing. That is default user behavior. And if that's what people are using Cowork for, and I know that's an exaggeration, but I think the statement sort of holds, that's a lot of money for not a lot of value.
I've started to see and hear more narrative from Microsoft employees around, well, you don't need that tool for this thing. You can get by with Copilot chat or Copilot within the context of one of the tools. And they are getting ahead of that, I will say, intentionally. Like I can feel the intent there. And I think the intent is good, but it's really annoying. All it is doing is creating more of the problem that people have seen of the Microsoft tools. Feels like this massive toolbox. Things can do the same things, but one is better than the other. Which one do I choose? Which is some of the reason why we exist. But now they're saying, let's add a complexity to the AI side and now have people have to decide, can I use Copilot chat for this? Or do I need to go and chat with one of the Office apps? Or should I use Cowork for this? Or should I use Microsoft Scout to do this for me? Which is the step even beyond, which is not the topic of conversation today. But I'll say it's annoying. And let me connect it to our business for a second. We come from a world, an industry that is very used to selling time. And I relate it a lot to this concept of, well, you can get a token and spend a token. What they are introducing is the concept of having someone need to make a conscious decision every time that they prompt something like this to spend money. I just earlier today thought, I went and asked Cowork to do something for me. And I had a subconscious thought of, is Matt Dressel going to see however many credits I use on this thing? And am I going to hear about it, like for good reason? And then am I going to have to develop some extra layer of thinking where I have to determine, can I use this tool? Is it worth me fighting with IT to use this thing versus not? Am I going to get my wrist slapped because I'm using $40 of Cowork credits every month or something like that? I don't know. I think that's the reality we're headed towards. And I find it to be annoying, especially in the concept of, like I said, our industry, we sell zero time. We sell deliverables and we sell outcomes. And we set for a fixed price, here's what you're going to get. And for up until now, that's what Copilot has been. For fixed price, here's what you get, generally speaking. But now they're introducing this, you get a fixed price plus run the meter up however high you want. We don't care, but we're going to start the ticker.
Yeah, I think the problems is in a software model, you're not selling outcomes ever.
So there's a distinction there also between, because the tokenized consumption-based model, it's not that it didn't exist, because it did. Like if you're building agents or using AI models, for example, like you're tied to a consumption model. And so you're going to pay that way. And so you're going to pay based on usage. But those things, I think the thing that we're struggling with is those things are more easily or clearly connected to maybe a revenue target or a business process or a critical function of the business. You're like, well, I have to have that. I can justify it. How much does it cost? If the cost goes up, am I generating more revenue? Like the math works out, the maths. In this case, you're tying it to a big unknown, a user that's an expense. Maybe they're a revenue generator, but like it's unpredictable because you don't really know how much they're going to use it on any given day or within any given month. And so then I think from a like IT management standpoint, you get to the end of a month and you look back and be like, what is our Copilot Cowork usage? And look at this person, they're going nuts. What are they doing? We need to train everybody on, like, it's a whole new thing that somebody has to like wrangle.
We're gonna it's.
Well, that's why your people only need Copilot chat, and maybe they don't need.
I mean, let's break it down though. So it's going to get a little different topic than usual. The Chinese models don't have this problem. Who knows why?
Because they want my data.
Nope. Because they've been forced to deal with lower power, so they automatically choose cheaper models as a default, always. They've invested trillions of dollars to make their models work on lesser hardware. The Western models, Claude, GPT, all these things, they just build bigger. Well, bigger is more expensive, right? And so that model of just building more expensive is not sustainable. It's just not, right? Eventually, you run out. You cannot eat up all of the memory and all the CPU power for the entire world in AI data centers for 17 years. I know it's not been that long, but it could be that long in the future, and not have something to pay for, right? It is a cost. And Microsoft isn't necessarily investing in that same thing because they're not building models. It's a lot of these startups. They're not investing.
To.
They're not investing in the same way that
No.
these other models
Well,
have.
I don't know that we know that, but we have a hunch that they are not.
I mean, when you look at what their investment with OpenAI is, et cetera, they've invested in other people. They're not their primary.
They want to
investment,
be the system, the
correct,
orchestrator.
Correct, right? And so they have a problem. But this isn't unique to them, because the other thing I would like to point out is you have the same problem with Claude. Claude, you only get a certain amount of credits, and that's it. Once you run out of those credits, you're done for the month, right? You got to get new ones.
But the pricing models are different between those two. One is you buy fixed price up front, you run out, you're done. The other one is we'll charge you at the end of the month after we figure out how much you've used.
Not really. The next level for them is to pay for twice as much for a particular user to buy the next level of their thing. And then beyond that, it's consumption. If you go to enterprise, if you go to the enterprise level, it's like it's all the same kind of thing. Everybody has the same problem.
Yeah, but
the difference is...
Maybe I'm mistaken, but I thought there was a difference in that, like in the Claude world, there you are stopped. You have to make another transaction happen to go beyond it, to consume more. Whereas in the Microsoft model, they will allow you to consume beyond
until you get to the enterprise level.
Yeah.
Right. When you get to enterprise, it's a different negotiate whatever you're like. It's a whole different ball of wax, right? But in the enterprise, you're paying a lot more, right? A lot more per month per user. It's a significant amount of money. They've just handled it differently. And if you think about it and you translate it in the Claude model, you are paying that same monthly fee for the same thing. But the only model you get is Claude. Because in Copilot, you're paying a same monthly fee. You're getting access to all of the models at all the different levels in all the different ways. You just don't get Cowork. I can see why they're doing it, like what you were saying before. I can see why they're doing it, and I can see that it is a valuable thing to do for the consumer if they can do it well. The thing that I'm frustrated with is the non-Cowork functionality isn't as good as I want it to be. If it was, I'm totally fine with it.
Yeah. And I'm not trying to backtrack on what I said. I think what they're doing is justified 100%. Like they are investing a bunch. They're trying to make up some of that gap. It makes sense from a business scenario. Please try to make up some of that gap. But at the same time, you guys were talking about, Claude versus that. And I think some people would say what Microsoft is doing is a lot better because instead of having a fixed thing that I'm drawing from, I can just go however much I need. And
and the credits are shared. So if I pay for Claude and I pay for 10 licenses, each person is getting their own threshold.
Right.
Not I buy 5 licenses.
Not
this
a pool.
is my pool.
Not a pool.
Yeah. So I can, in some ways, I'll appreciate that of Microsoft. The thing that I don't like is the fact that it is creating another layer of processing for the
The end user.
The end user, yeah.
It's really interesting that you say that, though. I don't know how many customers we've talked to that have been deep in AI. Like, we come to them and start talking to them, and they're certain people, not the whole organization, but certain people, engineering people, are deep into it. You know what they want to talk about? How much does a token cost?
Mm-hmm.
What model are which model are you using so that because I can buy these direct from so and so and get a cheaper price.
The value of it.
Like, they're already there.
Yeah.
They've been there for years.
Yeah.
They've been there for 7-8 years where everything is about, oh, the new model, how much is it costing? Oh, they changed it by half a cent. Oh my goodness, that's going to cost me X amount. So I should change. Like, they've been there for a long time. This is just the first time that it's being raised up to the more regular user who's using things. And I don't know how it's going to, I don't know whether or not it's a net positive, because everybody's going to learn about the cost of doing these things and the cost of your choices. We were just doing a training yesterday, 2 days ago, where they were talking about, somebody asked about the auto choice, right? And some people were like, oh, I like to choose. And I'm like, I don't ever want to choose. I want it to choose the cheapest way because I'm never going to be good enough to figure out what the right model is to do that. I just want auto to work really, really well and maximize my expenses, credits, whatever you want to call it. That's what I want.
Oh, that's interesting. I do think that, like something you just said, we're at a unique time when this is being now applied at the user level, right? At the
regular business user.
At the knowledge worker level, at the back office user level. And I think, honestly, that's probably one of the big reasons for the timing of the price increase, is because there is enough critical mass with the tool now where they've realized, oh, it actually can provide some real value. So somebody ought to pay for it. Like, I think that's actually what is happening. Because if you think back, certainly 4 months back, like, the tools weren't there. Like, I would struggle to create like a presentation or like a Word document the way that I wanted it to be, and like it was horrible.
It's funny because at the same time, I think it still has quite a ways to go before it feels like
Good
magic in some of those tools. But
it's a very, very interesting thing, and it's very interesting to think about, a year in the future, what that looks like, because I think the reason why I liked the idea of using Cowork is because of some of the innate functionality to create workspaces where all the content around the conversation gets stored, and doing that not on a local machine, because that's how Claude Cowork works, right? And I think that that's really interesting and has some really powerful options. But then they gated it, and it's like, I don't know whether or not I'm going to miss out on some opportunity there because I'm too afraid of the cost that might create. And so there's a whole interesting thing about missed opportunity potentially, where people could leverage Cowork to do really great things, but this model creates a risk-reward scenario where I don't even want to try it because I'm worried about how much it's going to cost.
Yeah, I think, like, my crystal ball is they have been rushing to get this thing out. They announced, here's our pricing model so we can get the money trickling in. And then most people, by default, Cowork is turned off in your tenant. Most people are just going to leave it off.
Yeah.
It's too much.
Too hard
to figure out beyond that, especially when people already don't use their Copilot license. Like, the statistics on that is pretty unfortunate, which is why we try to help people make use of them. But
do you think Microsoft will build in some tools to analyze the actions that your users have taken over the course of the last month and tell you how much that would have cost you in Cowork to have it just taken care of?
I don't know. They're doing a lot.
Like, they do something like that in Power Automate, right?
Yeah, they're doing a lot. They do a lot in their capacity model and stuff. But like you mentioned that was, I think, one of my other frustrations. We're in the TAP program. When we learned about this, one of the first questions was, how can we learn how much we would have spent?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
They didn't have an answer. They were like, well, the capacity reporting is going to come out in GA. And I'm like, what in the world, guys? Like, we aren't going to be able to tell how much we would have spent in the stuff that we have done already until after we have to pay for, like, what in the world is going on?
Yeah. They give like some credit
Estimates. Yeah.
of this
Yeah.
type of task will
You
take
guys
this
know
many.
they're just building it while they fly it.
Oh, which is
For sure. And that's
good.
okay.
Yeah.
I wouldn't go good. Okay.
Well, there is a bad version, which is this has to be perfect before anybody can.
Yeah, 100%.
Have their hands on it.
100%. But it's it's a very interesting turn of events. I can say I think a lot of people are shocked and will continue to be shocked a little bit that is how it went. And not so much that that's how it went, but that nobody knew about it until it went GA. It's like, why couldn't you say this in
It was
January?
I'm sure it was internal politics.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't have a peek
We don't have
behind
any
the curtain there.
we
but
don't have any idea really.
no,
but, yeah.
no, but I imagine there's opposing forces. Can we do this and make it still a $30 per user product that is really great that
Okay.
gets people in?
Okay, let's talk about what we want. I've been thinking about this. Here's what I wanted it to be, right? I wanted it to just pull from my Copilot, because there is a limit to the number of times you can, with the premium license, there is a limit to the amount that you can use it. It's not all you can eat, but it's really, really
Have you
high.
hit it? Yeah.
No, it's really, really high.
Yeah.
Right? So just pull from that. And when I run out, then go to the consumption model, right? Like that makes, if I'm a user that's constantly using Cowork all the time and I'm eating through credits, okay, that's on me.
So are you saying they essentially are creating two pools of tokens? 2 levels, 2 tiers of tokens?
They are, yes.
Yeah. And so
They have for a long time. Like,
and you're simply saying if you want to use Cowork and you still have tokens in the first tier,
yeah,
why
just
not?
use
Let's
them.
use them. Yeah.
And if that uses 3 times as many, so then you're using them up so much faster, okay. That's what you wanted to do. Okay, you go pay for the consumption based, right?
And you're talking about a pool of tokens that are prepaid essentially.
Yeah, I mean, I've not actually, and I'm gonna be really clear. I've not. The licensing on Copilot is very, 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 very complicated.
The Copilot Premium
but
license.
I know for a fact that there are credits associated to it. And for example, on things like agents, you can't just use a specialized agent like a custom agent forever and ever for free. There are still limits in regards to if you want to connect to third-party data sources. They've already got a complicated model, is what I'm saying.
You can
Why not just add this to it?
You can assign, like for a specific agent, for example, you can assign credits
to
your
it, yeah.
environment, and then the agent can use them.
But if you are paying for a premium license, they don't charge those credits until a certain point in many cases. Like you just get it for free because you're paying for the premium license.
Yeah, to me, it sounds a little bit like they have a deficiency in their premium license, that first tier, where they're not actually tying, like they're trying to sell something at a flat fee, $30 a month per user, and they probably went way too high on the credits they allowed.
Oh, that's possible
under that
too.
plan,
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, that's possible too.
And now they're like, oh crap.
I don't know why, but I can tell you from an end user's perspective, much like what you said, I could envision a world where you simplify this and it is way more palatable to everyone, which is to simply say, this uses credits, you get a certain amount, and after that, you got to start paying. To get people to be able to use it, be like this light, the weekly status update one, was like 100 to 300 credits. Like I should be able to do that if I'm paying for the premium license.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I see all kinds of logic and benefit to allowing somebody to use it at least an entry level.
Yeah.
To whet their appetite and go, hey, this is really worth it. Let's go.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm a little bit cynical, but I imagine when they crunched the numbers on that did not make them very much money.
Of course, because 90% of the people wouldn't fall into that category,
Right.
and then they wouldn't be paying.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just like you said, I understand what it is, and that might be a result of what Mike said, which is like maybe they really should have come down on the what Copilot Premium actually does across the board. But then that hurt a lot of people because they're like, we're still trying to sell that, and now I'm gonna have a hard time. Like I get it. I get that there's a bunch of competing things, but it's disappointing. It's going to create more people just doing Cowork, just doing Claude Cowork, and being like,
Oh yeah.
It's just not good enough. I'm gonna just that's where I'm putting my eggs. And I think
we have clients who say, I'm not fooling with Copilot.
Yep.
I'm just going to Claude. It's great.
Yep.
I'll pay for it.
I'll accept the risks and
Yeah.
the additional administration and the additional, like all the other challenges with doing that, and they'll just like I'll accept it because my people love it. My people want to use it and they find value from it. So I don't know. It is an interesting challenge.
Yeah. I want to kind of start to close this up here and talk about how we think about it in our business. And I want to pose the question first to our, let's call him our CFO. Mike, what would you think if I told you I have some tasks that I like to do on a recurring basis and it costs $7 every time?
How many of those tasks do you have, and how often is the recurrence?
You guys are going to get a peek behind the curtain.
He's asking the CFO. He wants to crunch the numbers.
I want it to run every weeknight.
Every week,
$7 a day.
$7 a day.
Yep.
What is it?
Do I have to am I defending myself, or are you just curious?
I don't know. For $7 a day, I would ask the question of whether or not it provides value to the business.
It does.
Okay, if it provides value to the business, probably.
All right.
It's probably okay. But $7 a day for every employee.
I think all of our employees should do that as well every night.
It's very interesting because I know what he's talking about doing, and
So your compliance officer already has an answer.
you know too. You just aren't putting it two and two together.
So $35 a week per employee.
That's incredibly expensive.
Yeah, that's pretty expensive.
It has to provide hundreds of dollars of value.
I'm playing like devil's advocate. I'm not actually vouching for that. I'm just it's an interesting thought exercise. I think because that's what they're saying.
Yeah, I know. So here's the thing: is like if you told me that saved you a quarter FTE, it's no brainer.
Right.
If you're saying it makes me happier as an employee,
You see my tail
I think
wagging?
I think that's a little harder to quantify for the bean counters and the compliance officers of the world, right? Mostly because you have that idea and you think everybody should do it. So does every other employee we have, and we got 10 employees.
13.
Effective. Well, I'm going to exclude us.
No, we got to get credit. We're 13.
Fine,
person
13.
company.
Now I'm 13 times $37 a day, a week.
Like we're about to be 14.
That's
So
ridiculous.
multiply
That's
times one more.
Absolutely ridiculous, right? Like there better be some real value in that.
Yeah.
But that value can come from lots of places. Did that generate 4 new projects?
Yeah.
Did that that's the problem with this, and it's really, really interesting because it's the problem of shadow IT. Like it's the same thing, right? When I go and build my own personal system on the side to do a thing better, and it makes my life easier, and it costs me a certain amount of money, right, to do that thing, either in time or in real licensing, and I didn't talk to IT and I didn't have to justify it to anybody, that might be okay. But when you start to look at it in a broader context, maybe it's not okay, right? Like, what is the right thing? I would tell you, for us, generally speaking, we're going to be figuring out how to manage and moderate our expenses, because expenses are a challenge. And you can do a lot with Copilot itself, and we're part of the TAP community. And so I think the best, when you think about it from a high level, our best thing is to encourage Microsoft to make the included Copilot good enough.
Yeah.
And leverage Cowork where it really provides value.
Yeah, I think the big, like, as I'm just thinking through and listening to that, the problem is going to be for like Microsoft licensing for all of their other stuff. The basic stuff is fixed cost, and it's very easy to deal with a fixed cost, even though now we have monthly subscriptions that we're tied into for years at a time, but it's still fixed. And so you can manage that from a business standpoint.
You can
the minute
predict
that you enter this level of variability into it, it like completely is a huge shakeup, and I think that variability is going to be the thing that like when people just choose Claude, it's because they have less variability.
You can put controls in place, to be clear. You can say people can only.
But now I have to think too hard about it.
Yeah,
I'm going to put on Mitch's. I'm going to put on Mitch's hat for a second. Okay, ready?
It'd be great. Please keep
We
that on for a long
pay
time.
someone.
Are you implying that Mitch only wears one hat?
Yes, you guys, all of you, both of you, can only wear one hat at a time. So we pay someone effectively to fix a limitation of Microsoft's meeting recordings, right?
Or we do it
To
ourselves.
make sure
Yep.
to make sure the meeting recording is on every meeting.
Yep.
To make sure it gets moved into the right location, that it's shared, etc. Right? The only thing that's stopping us from using Cowork to manage that right now is there's some APIs that Microsoft doesn't expose yet. Let's say that they do today, right? You can get at the transcripts, you can get at the files, you can get at the like all the things we need. You can get at them all, right? And I could in 20 minutes write a Cowork prompt that would every day or every hour even run and figure out whether or not I have any meetings that have meeting recordings and put them in the right spots, right? And let's say that costs $37.
I'll still go build a Power Automate to do it if the APIs are there.
Very interesting. There's no way I would. It's very interesting.
It's repeatable and structured enough to warrant either an agent or an agent flow or a flow.
That's really interesting. And the cost is what's stopping you.
Yeah, because I can control the cost. It's much more fixed. I just need maybe a premium license for Power Automate if there's a connector. I might use Copilot to help me build that flow.
It's very interesting.
As you can see, our thoughts are still evolving on this topic, but
I mean, yeah, they always will.
That Cowork thing, it also depends on where that Cowork thing gets built, right? Like when we think about automation and personal automation versus organizational automation, if I can build that thing in a way that I know is going to always produce a guaranteed result and not miss a meeting, not miss something, it's always going to work. And it's something that will live long after the person that built it departs from the company. Yeah. Like we can talk, but like I know I can already handle that well with Power Automate.
Very interesting. Very interesting.
Or workflows, like whatever pick your flavor of.
It just takes a lot of effort.
Structured.
The one can be done in an hour, and the other one's going to take 4 weeks.
No.
I think something that you said, we have to wrap up, but something you said that was interesting to me is when something gets to the level of everybody should have their Cowork or maybe their Microsoft Scout doing this every night, how soon does that become or graduate from an individual's personal assistant?
That's what he's saying. Yeah. That's part of what he's saying.
That's exactly what I'm getting at. It's kind of like not really Cowork. It's something else.
Yeah, the problem is again that the way Microsoft gives access to data, it's very difficult to do in a system-wide level. Mm-hmm. Many of these tools are individual, and so you'll end up having the same problem.
But that is in itself a problem because then you have to like guarantee that it works the same way for everybody.
I know, but I can't fix that problem. It's not a me problem. That's a Microsoft problem.
But that's a question that you need to ask is like, how do I need this to behave? Does it need to be absolutely guaranteed every time? And if something fails, central office knows about it. Or is it just good enough if I give everybody the prompt and they can just make it work and follow up on it? And like, depends on what it is.
We will report back on our thoughts further on this.
Can you turn on the cost tracking mechanism for all of the AI stuff that we're doing so we can report back?
It already is.
Great. I think something that might be useful.
Want me to bring out my laptop and tell you what it is?
3 months from now, we can have another discussion about how much
money did I spend today
for Cowork, and was it worth it? What did we do? Was it worth it?
Okay, everybody set a reminder for 3 years from now. So
3 years.
Today,
3 years would be 3 months in the AI world.
We're gonna have a whole different conversation about a completely new platform.
1
3 years
year
from now.
next June. Is it June, right? June 18 of 2027. Come back and see what we say.
Cowork, can you schedule a podcast recording on this topic?
We need to have Cowork listening in the office.
Yeah.
we are digressing, and that's when I know it's time to wrap
It's
up.
late in the day, yeah.
Hopefully this is, if anything, a small amount of entertainment to hear us kind of fuddle through these concepts. And it, like Matt said, it is something that is constantly evolving. And so hopefully we can stay one step ahead of you all so that you can take some of the breadcrumbs we're leaving behind and follow them as we attempt to create a clear path for these things. But we wanted to give a little, glimpse into what we're actively thinking about here at Bulb and how we're reacting to some of the changes in the Microsoft world. So that's all we have for today. Any closing thoughts? No?
Good.
Okay, cool. Well, we'll see you next
Good
time.
discussion.
Thanks for listening.
Thanks, guys.